There's something curious about the words we hear often. That's a good idea. It seems innocent enough, encouraging even. We hear it in meetings, we hear it in classrooms, we hear it from friends, family, mentors, and colleagues. But buried beneath this simple phrase lies a question we rarely ask. If everybody says it's a good idea, why hasn't it been done yet? This speech isn't just about good ideas. It's about the difference between talk and action. It's about the invisible line that separates what we agree upon and what we commit to. And above all, it's about why the ideas that matter the most are not the ones that everyone agrees are good. They're the ones that someone is willing to fight for, even when no one else sees it yet. We live in a world that celebrates ideas. Innovation is a buzzword, and creativity is prized. Startups pitch their concepts every day, authors publish books full of thoughts, students present projects teeming with originality. And in every corner of this world, someone will hear those 6 words, "That's a really good idea." But what follows those words is what defines our lives, because saying something is a good idea is not the same as believing in it. It is not the same as trusting it, and it is definitely not the same as acting on it. It is easy to agree, it is easy to applaud, but progress has never been built on easy. It has been built on belief that borders on obsession, commitment that feels like madness, and perseverance that refuses to surrender to polite praise. Simon Sinek once said, "People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it." The same is true for action. People don't move because you've got a good idea. They move because they believe you believe in it so deeply that not moving would feel like betrayal. They move because your conviction ignites their own. And that conviction is not born in rooms where everybody nods in agreement. It's born in the moments when you stand alone, holding an idea that matters to you so deeply that you're willing to stake your reputation, your energy, and your time on it. So when everybody says it's a good idea, don't stop there. Ask what comes next. Ask who's going to take responsibility for bringing it to life, because agreement is not the same as action. Consensus is not the same as leadership. And a good idea is not the same as a great decision. The people who change the world aren't the ones with good ideas. They're the ones who execute, the ones who take the idea out of the abstract and drag it into reality. It's messy, it's imperfect, it will be doubted, delayed, and even dismissed. But the person who stays in motion, who keeps pushing even when the applause fades, is the one who makes the difference. Think about how many ideas we've seen come and go, apps that never got built, books that never got written, movements that never took off, not because they weren't good, but because no one pushed them forward with purpose. No one believed enough to lead. Leadership, real leadership, begins where agreement ends. It starts when the world stops clapping and you're left standing with a choice. Do you wait for others to act, or do you step into the unknown and act yourself? This is the difference between those who dream and those who dare. Dreamers wait for validation. Leaders validate the dream through relentless pursuit. If you're waiting for everyone to say it's a good idea before you begin, you may never begin at all. Because the truth is, people often don't see what's possible until it's proven. They don't believe in the impossible until it's been done. They don't recognize brilliance until it's too bright to ignore. So if you have an idea that people agree is good, don't stop there. Take it as a sign, not of success, but of potential. The work still lies ahead. The real challenge is not getting people to like your idea. It's getting them to follow you through the hard parts, the uncertain parts, the parts where good is not good enough, and only courage will carry you forward. You see, the most dangerous thing that can happen to a good idea is not rejection. It's comfort, it's consensus. When everyone says it's a good idea, it can lull you into thinking it will happen on its own. But good ideas don't build themselves. They need energy. They need champions. They need someone who says, "This isn't just a good idea. This is my idea, and I'm going to make it real." We all know that moment, the moment when an idea lights us up, when the dots connect and something clicks inside. But what we do in the moments that follow is what determines our legacy. Do we let it fade? Do we wait for others to take the lead, or do we step forward, scared but certain, ready to put in the work no one else is willing to? Most people will say, "Someone should do something about this," but very few say, "I will do something about this." That is what separates the spectators from the leaders, and leadership, true leadership, begins with ownership. It's the decision to stop waiting and start doing. If you're carrying an idea that everyone seems to agree is good, remember that agreement is not the goal, impact is, execution is, change is, and those things come not from consensus but from commitment. We need fewer people waiting for perfect timing and more people willing to create the moment. We need fewer people chasing applause and more people chasing purpose. And we need fewer people who settle for being liked and more people who are willing to lead. You do not need permission to start. You do not need everyone to see what you see. If you wait for the stars to align, you may miss your moment, because stars don't align on their own. They align because someone dared to move. It's easy to start doubting when others are slow to act, but just because they agree doesn't mean they believe. Just because they praise doesn't mean they'll show up. And just because they say it's a good idea doesn't mean they'll fight for it. So you must be the one to fight for it. There is a danger in thinking that agreement equals momentum. Agreement is passive, it's comfortable, it makes us feel good, but it doesn't move the needle, it doesn't solve problems. People can say yes and still do nothing. People can say that's brilliant and walk away unchanged. You can walk into a room full of people nodding at your idea and still be completely alone in the fight to bring it to life. And that's where your test begins, not in the moment of praise, but in the silence that follows, in the days after the pitch, after the meeting, after the applause fades. That's when reality kicks in. That's when you'll feel the weight of implementation, and you'll begin to ask yourself hard questions. Am I really committed? Am I ready to do this when no one else is? Am I willing to keep pushing even when others slow down? This is where most people stop, not because the idea wasn't good, not because they lacked talent or intelligence, but because they thought a good idea was enough. It isn't. A good idea is the seed. But unless it is planted, watered, and protected, especially in the harsh seasons, it will never grow into anything more than a concept, and the harsh seasons always come. You will face resistance, not because your idea is bad, but because change always meets resistance. People cling to what is familiar, even if it's broken. They prefer the comfort of now over the uncertainty of possibility. They'll tell you to wait. They'll ask for more proof. They'll demand guarantees. But leadership doesn't come with guarantees. It comes with risks, and the willingness to take those risks is what separates those who watch the world change from those who shape it. You may have to walk alone for a while. You may feel misunderstood. You may even be ridiculed. History is full of people whose ideas were laughed at until they weren't. Every invention, every innovation, every movement that matters began with someone who said, "This matters to me, even if it doesn't yet matter to you." That is the burden of vision, seeing something so clearly in your mind and heart, while others still struggle to see it at all. But that's also the gift, because if you see it first, you have the opportunity to lead it. To create the path others will eventually walk, and make no mistake, if your idea is truly good, if it genuinely solves a problem, improves lives, or moves the world forward, people will follow, but not immediately. And not because you ask them to. They will follow because you went first, because you acted before it was popular, because you took the hits, stayed the course, and proved through your actions that the idea was more than just words. We've been conditioned to seek validation before we act, but leaders know that action precedes approval. You cannot wait for the world to catch up to your vision. You must move ahead of it. You must believe in it enough to sacrifice comfort, to endure criticism, and to keep showing up long after others have stopped watching. Leadership isn't about having all the answers. It's about having the courage to begin with the ones you do have. To take one step when you can't yet see the whole path, to move when others stand still, and yes, it will be hard, there will be setbacks, you will question yourself, you will wonder if it's worth it. And in those moments, you'll need to go back to your why, the reason you started, the deeper belief behind the idea, because that's what will keep you grounded when things get chaotic. That's what will refuel you when you're tired. That's what will remind you that this is bigger than approval, bigger than applause, bigger than comfort, your idea, your vision, your mission. It is not a performance, it is a calling, and when you treat it that way, you stop worrying about whether everyone agrees. You stop waiting for permission, and you start becoming dangerous in the best way, because dangerous people are the ones who act on belief. They're the ones who move regardless of consensus. They're the ones who shake the system, break the silence, and bring to life the things that others only talk about. So when they say, "That's a good idea," don't take it as the finish line. Take it as your starting gun. That's your cue. That's your moment to step forward and say, "Yes, and I'm going to do something about it." Ideas become movements when someone takes ownership. They become revolutions when someone decides, "This isn't just a suggestion, this is a necessity, this is the future, and I will not rest until it is reality." You might be thinking, "But what if I fail?" And here's the truth: failure is part of the process. No great idea arrives perfectly. It evolves, it gets shaped by challenges, refined by setbacks, and strengthened by persistence. What separates leaders from the rest is not the absence of failure, it's what they do with it. They learn, they adapt, they keep moving. Most people give up after the first no. Real leaders keep going after 100 because they understand something crucial. The idea is not the end, it's the beginning. It's the spark. And the fire it can ignite depends on how fiercely you protect it, how boldly you pursue it, and how relentlessly you believe in it. That's what makes the difference. The world is full of ideas that never saw the light of day. Not because they weren't worthy, but because no one took responsibility. And responsibility is the birthplace of impact. When you say, "This is on me, I will carry it, I will lead it," you become the catalyst. And suddenly, what was once just a good idea becomes something that reshapes lives. If you want to be that catalyst, you need to make a decision. Are you going to wait until the timing feels perfect, until the risk is gone, until the crowd cheers? Or are you going to trust that your belief is enough to begin? Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to act anyway, to move in the face of uncertainty, to walk forward when the only thing you're sure of is your purpose. And when you do that, when you lead with conviction instead of comfort, you give others permission to do the same. You become the example they needed. You become the proof that belief is more powerful than applause. That action beats agreement. That leadership is not about having a good idea, but about bringing that idea to life, again and again, until it changes something, until it moves someone, until it makes the world better than it was before. That is what you're here to do. Every remarkable shift in history started not with universal agreement, but with a single voice, a single mind, a single person who believed enough to begin. The truth is, people don't rally behind a good idea. They rally behind someone who makes them believe that the idea matters, someone who leads not with explanation, but with passion, not with promises, but with presence. So what will you do when they say, "That's a good idea"? Will you wait for them to take the first step? Will you fall into the comfort of consensus and let the moment pass? Or will you rise, take that fragile idea in your hands, and build something the world can see, touch, and follow? Because real change doesn't happen when an idea is liked. It happens when it is lived, when someone refuses to let it die in a conversation or fade from memory after a meeting, when someone gives that idea structure, form, and movement. When someone brings it to life with grit, resilience, and relentless dedication. That someone is you. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be the smartest person in the room. You don't even need to have all the answers. What you need is a reason that moves you, a belief that drives you, and the courage to start and start again and keep going. Do not underestimate the power of your own resolve. The people who change the world are not superhuman. They are simply unwilling to let their vision remain dormant. They act even when it's inconvenient. They show up even when it's difficult. They keep believing even when others stop listening, and in doing so, they give the rest of us permission to dream, to dare, to lead. The next time someone says, "That's a good idea," take a breath, then ask yourself, "Am I willing to carry this? Am I willing to be the one who goes first?" If the answer is yes, you are no longer waiting for change. You are the change. Because movements don't begin with the majority, they begin with one person who refuses to ignore what could be, one person who chooses progress over praise, One person who decides that agreement is nice, but action is necessary. You don't need a crowd, you need conviction. You don't need everyone's approval, you need your own courage. You don't need more people to say it's a good idea. You need to decide that it matters enough to lead. The world is full of good ideas, but what it desperately needs is people bold enough to do something with them. Let that person be you. Stand up, speak up, step forward. Lead not because everyone agrees with you, but because you believe in something bigger than agreement. Lead because you know that ideas alone change nothing, but ideas acted upon change everything. And that is how you transform a good idea into a great legacy.